What's going on, guys? Today is going to be the very first episode of my Randomized Nuzlocke Let's Play for Pokemon Heart Gold. So, for those of you who don't know what a Nuzlocke is, a Nuzlocke works as such. There are a couple of rules that I will set up for myself throughout this playthrough that I have to follow. Rule number 1 is that I only get one encounter in each area that is viable to catch the Pokemon. So, if in the very first area I encounter a Rattata, I have to catch that Rattata. If I faint it, I don't get to catch anything else in the area. Rule number 2 is that any Pokemon that I catch, I have to nickname. This is a requirement. It's done to help build a bond between trainer and Pokemon. I typically don't nickname Pokemon, so this is going to be a little bit of an interesting thing for me to come up with nicknames, but we'll give it a try. Rule number 3 is that any Pokemon that is in my party that faints, that Pokemon is considered dead, and I have to either release it or box it. Now, for the purposes of this particular playthrough, I will be boxing it. I will probably put it in the last box in the PC. I'll figure that out when I come to it. I'm also going to be doing a couple of special rules. I will be doing the Typelocke, which means that in my party, I can only have one Pokemon of each primary type. So I can't have two primary fire-type Pokemon. Now, if I have a Pokemon that's fire and a Pokemon that's, say, normal as their primary, but their secondary is fire, I'm allowed to use that Pokemon. I will also be going by Genderlocke. Now, you see this a lot in Soul Links. Obviously, I'm not doing a Soul Link here, so I'm going to do it as such so that each Pokemon in my party, I can have 3 males and 3 females, or any number of ungendered Pokemon. That also means, though, that if I encounter a Pokemon in a new area, and say, the last area I caught a male, and my first encounter is another male, I will re-encounter. I won't do that if it's similar types, but I will if it's gender, because I can't control that. Finally, I'm also going to be using the dupes/species clause, which means that if let's say I have a Charmander, and my first encounter is another Charmander, or a Charizard, I can re-encounter, so that I don't just keep having the same Pokemon over and over again. I don't think it's going to be a big issue with this particular playthrough, because it is a randomized Heart Gold, Soul Silver run-through, so 490 some Pokemon are going to be available. I've also randomized all of the trainers' Pokemon, which includes gym leaders. I've randomized all items I can find. Items that can be found on Pokemon as held items. The starter Pokemon, everything. Everything is randomized. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a start. You can see that my emulator is going to be running a little bit faster. I typically do that during the beginning of the game just so that I can get through a lot of the boring text without having to sit there and wait. But once I actually start getting going, I will limit my frame rate on my emulator and just play it normally. So here we go. So we got Professor Oak here. He's just giving us a little bit of an explanation. For the most part, if you guys are watching a Nuzlocke playthrough, you kind of know the generic Pokemon story. They're our friends. We can battle. We can train them, etc., etc. So I'm gonna go with Tom. That's my name. I go by Tom, Tommy, Thomas. I go by everything. So here we go. Let's see. Do we have it? We have a message from Lyra. That's all we've got from her. I kind of miss the old days where you'd have a potion sitting in your PC. I still remember that way back from Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, where you kind of just got that little bit of a heads up. One more thing that I forgot to mention at the very beginning is that the Nuzlocke rules do not apply until I have a Pokeball, or until I gain Pokeballs, because it's not fair for me to try to make it all the way through to the Cherry Grove or anything like that without encountering a Pokemon, just so that I can I can get those Pokeballs. So they actually won't start, I believe with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I don't get Pokeballs until after I bring the egg back to Professor Elm. So we'll pick up our starter Pokemon. This probably won't be a horribly long episode, maybe about 15 minutes. I'll try to make it up to get the egg and make it back. Probably do my rival battle. And then once I get my Pokeballs, I'll probably try to do an encounter or two, just so that I can kind of see what's available to me, and try to catch something. But we will see what our starters are here. So I've got Venomoth, Azumarill, and Licky. Now, the thing with a randomized playthrough is that everything is randomized. So Falconer, despite being the bird Pokemon master, will not use bird Pokemon. He will use something completely different, and I cannot tell you what he will use before the actual battle. And so it's kind of down to whichever Pokemon I think is going to be more versatile early in the game. And if I had to pick, I think I'm going to go with Azumarill. I'm probably not going to find a lot of water types early on in the game, and so he really is my best option. So now for a nickname. Even though I gotta use my mouse cursor for this as a stylus. Even though he is still just water and he won't gain the typing, or she, I guess it is a female. I'm gonna call her Fairy. So we have Azumarill the Fairy. Or Fairy the Azumarill, rather. And so, here we go. Let's talk to this guy. He'll give us some potions. And let's actually check out the stats of Azumarill. So, Azumarill has Tackle, Defense Curl, Tail Whip, and Water Gun. It's got Thick Fat as the ability. Not bad stats all around as far as an Azumarill goes. Now, as you notice, it is female. So that means that the first encounter that I am able to viably get, once I get my Pokeballs and everything, is it has to be male. And I just noticed that Lyra walks around with a Marill. I should have realized this before. I should have realized this quite some time ago. But yes, Lyra walks around with a Marill. So Lyra is walking around with a Marill, and I'm walking around with an Azumarill. So let's get the Pokegear from Mom. And we will head out of town. Obviously, I'll get stopped by Professor Elm so that he can give me his phone number. You can see our rival peeking in through the edge of the house there. I believe he is also randomized. So despite there still being Licky and Venomoth in Professor Elm's lab, ooh, a Bunary. So despite there still being Licky and Venomoth in Professor Elm's lab, I believe that it will still be completely randomized. So he steals a Pokemon, but it's random. And we have Cast Form. I'm actually going to kill this Cast Form. Start getting some experience. Because my rival can use anything. So he could use a Fire type or an Electric type. He could use whatever. And I can't get Apricorns yet. So I didn't know that. So we'll talk to this guy. He'll give us the tour, and then we'll get the map card from him. I believe we'll get the map card from him. I'm so used to playing the original Gold and Silver. I've probably done a playthrough of that. Not on a YouTube video or anything, but I've probably done a playthrough of that every 3 or 4 months for the last 4 years. I haven't done a randomized playthrough of it yet. I've actually been watching Shady Penguin. He's doing a Soul Link playthrough for Gold and Silver with another guy, Nappy. That's really kind of it's motivated me to start doing some of this stuff. Before I was just going to uh, do some like Twitch streaming. I'm still having some issues with my internet as far as that goes, and so I can't exactly stream at the moment. It'll hold up for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then it'll start getting really choppy. And the problem with that is that I live in an apartment complex, and so everybody's using the same internet connection. Oh, I do get the map card from them. I got the map card and the running shoes, but everybody's using the same internet connection. So when there's nobody in the apartment complex, my internet works great. It's fast. It's wonderful. And I encounter a Sceptile. If I had Pokeballs, I would capture this thing in a heartbeat. So yeah, everybody's using the same internet connection, which kind of sucks. And I found a scope lens, so we will pop my head in here. I believe this is where I get the Abercorn box. This is one thing I really miss that I absolutely loved in the original Gold and Silver, was the ability to kind of like make your own Pokeballs. I loved that thought process, and a Gligar. I loved that process. I loved, going and finding Kurt way down in Azalea Town, and I don't know. It's just something that I really wish that they had brought back, even in the later generations. I mean, X and Y has so much customization. They have so many different things that you can do with your trainers. I don't see why they couldn't have made it so that you could make your own Pokeballs. And we've got Relicanth, so we'll take him out, or her out rather. I'm so used to just saying him. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of Shady Penguin and Nappy over the last few days, and they just did a Soul Link for Red and Blue. Well, obviously, if you pay any attention to Pokemon, Red and Blue, there's only one species of Pokemon that is gendered in that, and that's Nidoran male and Nidoran female. And so we just kind of got so used to saying, or I got so used to saying, like, oh, he died, when you really don't know because there wasn't genders. And so we just picked up the mystery egg. We'll talk with Professor Oak here. He'll take a look at my Azumarill, who apparently he thinks is a really rare Pokemon, despite the fact that, if you remember, when he talked to me at the very beginning of the game, he had Marill. He threw Marill out of the Pokeball. And so we will get our Pokedex, and we'll get his phone number in our Pokegear. Get a call from Professor Elm here, who's just absolutely freaking out right now. So my goal, a Gengar. Oh, I wish I could catch you. So my goal with this series is I want to do between 20 and 30-minute episodes. And I want to release an episode every 2 days. So, I mean, I understand I am a new YouTuber. This is my second video, really, but I did one for the It Gets Better project about 4 years ago or so. Just talking about some of my past there. But this is really like my first in-depth video, the first thing that I've really focused on. And so my goal is I want to get it uploaded 3 days a week. I understand that this will be going up on a Tuesday. I'll probably try doing... Oh, he's got Feraligatr. That feels cheap. That feels unfair. There we go. So I will probably try to do a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday upload for this. At the moment, this will probably be the only video that I do. I am talking with a friend right now about doing a Nuzlocke Soul Link challenge with either Fire Red and Leaf Green or with Ruby and Sapphire. Because I think a randomized Nuzlocke Soul Link would be really fun for those. I'm trying to stay away from Fire or Ruby and Sapphire because I just got done playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, so I've been a little bit burned out by that. I've been working on completing my Pokedex, which is it's very difficult. Right now I just finished my Hoenn Pokedex, except for Jirachi, and that alone took me about 40 hours to do. What are we gonna name our rival? Usually I name him Scott. Scott is one of my best friends. He's hopefully going to do some collaboration with me over spring break. I've been trying to talk to him about doing some playthroughs. If I can get my streaming set up, then I will be doing a 7-day Final Fantasy marathon. 7 days, 7 Final Fantasies. Beginning with Final Fantasy 1 and ending with Final Fantasy 7. Now, with that, it will be a 24-hour stream. That means that I will probably take from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. as far as the stream goes, and he will take 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. He's really much more of a night owl than I am, or, like 6 to 6 or something like that, but we each take a 12-hour shift. And so, if I can get the streaming set up, that's what we'll do. If not, then I'm tempted to talk to him to see if he would be interested in something like a Pokemon stream. He's never played Pokemon, and so I do not want my mom to save my money. He's never played Pokemon, and so something like that would be interesting. It would also be interesting to try to explain the rules of something like a Nuzlocke to him. I was under the impression that that guy gives you Pokeballs in Generation 2. It's Lyra who gives them to you in Generation 4. So, once she does this, once she catches the Pokemon, then I will technically be in the lock. So, if you remember, because I have a female Azumarill, my first Pokemon encounter must be a male, and it can't be relatively early in the game. There's very few limitations. Right now, it just can't be female, and it can't be an Azurill, a Marill, or an Azumarill. So the first thing I'm going to do, I forgot to do this, was come back up here and heal. Because he did lose a little bit of HP in the battle with my rival. We will go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to limit the frame rate now. So now we're just running along normal speed. We got through probably what I think is one of the more boring games, or boring areas of the game. And we start out with a Loudred. Normal type. Here's hoping that Water Gun does not kill it, because I am 7 levels above it right now. And it does not kill it, so that will work. And now I can throw out my Pokeball and hopefully catch it. And that will be my encounter for this area. Now, what Shady Penguin and King Nappy did was they did quite a bit of... Oh, and he escapes a Pokeball. That's ridiculous. What they did was they would do grinding montages. So they would just grind for, an hour, 2 hours, until their Pokemon were of an appropriate level. I will try as hard as I can to not do that. I would like you guys to see any grinding that I do, because in grinding montages, important things do happen. You find important items. You potentially encounter a new Pokemon. A Pokemon can die. Like, they had grinding montages where one of their Soul Links died, and so that caused problems. here's hoping this Loudred stays in the Pokeball this time. And we've caught ourselves a Loudred. And now we just gotta come up with a nickname for him. But anyways, as I was saying, I'm going to try not to do grinding montages. There are times where I will, because I feel like it's going to be a very boring area. Or I've done everything I can do in that area. I've fought all the trainers and everything. And my Pokemon are still a little underleveled. I'll try not to overlevel too much, but I can't make any promises. So we now have to come up with a nickname. I'm going to call them Speakers. I don't know why. He just always reminded me of a set of speakers. And that would have been perfect for my first encounter. A nice Carnivine. But I got the encounter that I got. The nice thing about this is that I'm in an area where I can get 2 encounters. Not obviously on this route, but if I go up through this little passageway, I can get another encounter in the grassy area up there. And I may actually go... I only have 2 Pokeballs left, so I may actually go to town first and pick up a couple more Pokeballs. And then I'll go up there and I'll get my encounter. And then, as you remember, the very first encounter that I got on this route was male. And so, the encounter that I get on that route has to be female. Let's pick up 8 Pokeballs. I know people typically say like you should get 10 at a time when you're very first starting the game because you get that free Premier Ball. I have never, ever caught anything in a Premier Ball. And I've been playing Pokemon since Red and Blue very first came out. Red was my very first game. I picked up Pokemon Yellow version shortly after that, just because at the time I was very much in love with the anime. And I wanted Pikachu as my partner. And ever since, I believe they came out with the Premier Ball in Generation 3. I believe that was when that mechanic came out. Ever since Generation 3, I have never caught anything in a Premier Ball. Never. Most of the time, I buy 10 Pokeballs, and that lasts me until the next town, and I get 10 more. And then, sooner or later, I've got Great Balls and Ultra Balls, and there's not even a need for Premier Balls. So, here we will go with our second encounter. This one has to be a female, so... Oh, we got a male Chimchar. So... Unfortunately, I can't catch it. So I will re-encounter until I either find a female or a gender-neutral Pokemon. We have a female Heracross. Now that is very, very good, because at this point a lot of Pokemon trainers will use normal types. Even though everything is randomized, they will still use normal types. And so... Oh, and they got a crit on me. Because they're using normal types, Heracross, I don't think he'll start out with any fighting type moves, but he is very, very powerful. And I didn't figure that first one was gonna catch him anyways. He's very, very powerful, and or I guess she in this case, she's very, very powerful, and she's going to be a very important part of my team once I get her leveled up. And so, here we go. Hopefully I can catch her. She doesn't want to stay in the Pokeball. So far she knows Tackle, Leer, and Horn Attack. We will give it one more Pokeball, and then we might have to switch out to Loudred to see if Loudred can... Nope, I'm going to have to switch out to Loudred, because I have a feeling that if I Tackle using Azumarill, she's going to end up killing it, and I can't have that. So we'll switch out to Loudred. Loudred should be able to take a hit, and I completely forgot to actually go through his stats and his moves. Oh, and he knows Endure. So I completely forgot to go through like Loudred's moves and his stats and everything when I caught him. But hopefully I will catch this Heracross, this Lady Heracross, and I can do that all at once. This Heracross really does not want to go in the Pokeball, does it? And see, that's the dangerous thing right there. So I'm going to switch back out to Azumarill. Azumarill could take a couple of hits. I have some potions too, so if Azumarill gets hit once or twice, I'm not horribly worried about it. Oh yeah, especially not when it only does 2 damage. So Azumarill can take a couple of hits, and we can hopefully catch this Heracross if it can just go in the damn ball. Azumarill can take a couple of hits, and even if he manages to get a critical hit off on me or something, and he drops Azumarill down, 10 HP, another 10 HP or something like that, I can use a potion and heal up. And and it was so close. Come on. I have 4 Pokeballs left. Now that's the other downside to this sort of playthrough. If, for whatever reason, I don't catch this Heracross in 3 more Pokeballs, I have to kill the Heracross, which means that I lost my encounter for the route. And I will be taking notes on everything, so like, because this Heracross is female, the next Pokemon I encounter, oh man, I'm down to my last Pokeball, and this is starting to get a little stressful. Because this Heracross is female, that means that the next Pokemon I encounter in my route... Oh, I still have 2 Pokeballs left. The next Pokemon I encounter in my route has to be male. Now, the way Genderlocke works... Oh, and I caught him. Oh, thank you. The way Genderlocke works is that I still have to have the even spread across my party. The encounters differ, but I have to have the even spread across my party of male and female. The only exception to that is if I have a gender-neutral Pokemon. So if I catch a Magnemite who has no gender, then I don't have to worry about it. So I have a Lady Heracross, this powerful Pokemon thrusts its prized horn under its enemies' bellies, then lifts and throws them. So I have to come up with a good nickname for Lady Heracross. Let me think. I normally would go with like a professional wrestler or something like that, but I don't know any wrestlers. I don't watch wrestling, and so I think I will probably just go Lady. I'll go Lady Hero. Fighting types. They're big. They're strong, and they're powerful. I always forget my key settings, so we will see here. So we'll start out with speakers. Soundproof, which is the normal move, and it has this Pound, Uproar, Astonish, and Howl. And then if we go to Lady Hero... Okay, I thought I had another sassy nature. So Lady Hero and Fairy are both sassy nature Pokemon. Look at that attack, though. Like, an attack of 10 on a level 2 Heracross. Like, my attack is 16 on Fairy, and she's level 9. And then it came with Tackle, Leer, Horn Attack, and Endure. So it doesn't have any fighting moves yet, but hopefully it will get some fighting moves relatively soon. And I think I'm going to finish out this video. I'm going to go back to Cherry Grove, run my Pokemon through the Pokemon Center, heal up, and I will call that a day for this video. Everything's going to get saved. It's not going to be... like, I'll start right back where I left off for next time, and I've encountered an Executor. I actually, like I said, I was watching Shady Penguin and King Nappy do their Red and Blue Soul Link, Nuzlocke, Randomized Challenge. It's kind of a mouthful. And Executor was actually a fairly important part of Shady Penguin's team. So everything will be saved. I will have everything ready to go. We will start right outside the Pokemon Center for the very next video. And we will go from there. So again, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing my first YouTube video, my first Let's Play, especially with it being a randomized Nuzlocke. And I appreciate it. So leave any questions, comments, likes, dislikes, leave that down in the comments below. And Thursday, 2 days, I will have the next video up. So thanks again. Tommy out.